Hey everyone, I want to tell you about something that completely changed how I think about starting a business. It was a real eye-opener, a total game changer for me. Last month, I found myself at a pretty exclusive dinner, the kind where everyone around the table is a big shot in either traditional business or the internet world. I was just there, soaking it all in, trying to learn. I have to admit, I felt a little out of place, but I was eager to absorb any wisdom I could. I ended up sitting next to this guy, a very calm and collected individual. You could just feel his presence, a quiet confidence that spoke volumes. Turns out, he is worth well over $100 million. He was talking about deals worth tens of millions. Just casually, like it was everyday conversation. It was a world so far removed from my own experiences of trying to make a few extra bucks here and there. I had a few drinks in me, which probably gave me a bit of courage, and I leaned over and asked him a question. I said, "Sir, your business is so huge now. How much money did you start with, back at the very beginning?" It felt like a bold question, almost intrusive, but my curiosity got the better of me. He put down his chopsticks, looked at me, and just smiled. Then he held up a single finger. My first thought was $1 million. I blurted it out. $1 million. I figured that is what it must take to build something so substantial. He shook his head. 10,000. I tried again, thinking maybe I was just off by a magnitude. He still shook his head. I was a bit confused at this point. I thought, come on, you're kidding me, right? It cannot be $1,000, can it? I was honestly starting to think he was just playing with me given the context of our conversation. That is when he finally spoke, and what he said absolutely blew my mind. He said, "Young man, it was $100. He explained that for every business he considers, his first step is always to spend $100 to validate the idea. If it does not pass that initial validation, he will not even invest $1,000 into it." Honestly, when I heard that number, my immediate reaction was, is this guy just showing off, trying to be humble or something? $100. What can you even do with $100 these days? You can barely buy a decent meal for someone, let alone launch a business. It sounded almost impossible given the current cost of everything. But then he spent the next 10 minutes explaining his reasoning, and suddenly everything clicked for me. I instantly understood why regular people like us often fail so spectacularly in business, while successful entrepreneurs who seem to be taking huge risks are actually incredibly stable in their approach. It made me reflect on all my own missteps and the money I had foolishly lost. What is our typical way of thinking? At least it was certainly mine back when I was starting out. We get this brilliant idea, we convince ourselves it is going to be the next big thing. We dream of riches, of success, of proving everyone wrong. So we go all in, we rent a storefront, we do all the renovations, we buy a ton of inventory, we hire staff. Before we have even made a single penny, we have already poured tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars into it. We are emotionally invested and financially committed before we even know if there is a market. After all that, we open our doors, sit there, and just wait for customers to magically appear. We hope for the best because we have already put so much on the line. And what happens? Maybe 3 people walk in all day. Within 2 months, our cash flow dries up. We are forced to close down, usually selling everything at a loss. This is the classic mistake of shooting first and aiming later. It is a painful lesson, one I learned through direct experience, and it is a lesson that costs a lot more than $100. But this gentleman's $100 philosophy is completely different. It is about reconnaissance first, then deciding whether to pull the trigger. It is about gathering intelligence before committing resources. He told me, $100 cannot buy you products. It cannot rent you a storefront. But $100 can buy you the most valuable thing in the world, genuine market feedback. He emphasized that this feedback is worth more than any fancy business plan or elaborate setup. It is the real pulse of the market. I asked him for specifics. How does he actually do this? What does this practical application look like? He gave me a super simple example. Let us say you suddenly get this idea that opening a high-end fruit store in your old neighborhood could be profitable. You see a gap, you think there is a demand for premium produce. What would most people do? What I would have done? Without question, you would immediately go and lease a space. You would find a renovation team, you would stock up on expensive durians and cherries, filling the store with what you believe people want. You would spend a fortune before a single customer walks through the door. But what would this gentleman do? He would first spend $100. He would spend about $40 to print dozens of fancy fruit flyers at a print shop. These flyers would announce premium farm, fresh fruit community group buying, internal testing. They would be designed to grab attention and pique interest. Then he would use the remaining $60 to buy a small selection of the best fruit samples from a wholesale market. He would cut them into tasting portions, making them appealing and accessible. During the evening rush hour, he would just set up a small stool outside the community gate. He would hand out flyers and offer samples for people to try. It sounds so simple, almost too simple for something that could decide a business's fate. Then, he would ask a simple question. If we offered delivery for this quality of fruit, would you be willing to add me on WeChat? Would you be interested in placing an order today? He would gauge their immediate reaction, their willingness to engage further. This $100 spent would give him 3 absolutely critical pieces of data. Data that would decide the fate of his business. And all, for a minimal investment. First, what is the WeChat conversion rate? If 10 people walk by and 5 are willing to add him on WeChat, that tells him there is a demand. There is interest. It shows that people are receptive to the idea. But if 100 people walk by and not a single one is interested, it is destined to lose money. He would just cut his losses and move on immediately. This is about knowing when to quit, before you have lost everything. A lesson I learned far too late myself. It is about respecting the market's verdict. Second, how price sensitive are the residents in this community? Let us say a pound of cherries normally costs $80. After tasting, you tell them the internal test price is $60. Do they think it is still too expensive, or do they see it as an amazing deal? Their reaction to the price point is incredibly important. This feedback directly determines your pricing strategy, a crucial element for any business, and one that many entrepreneurs often get wrong. It is not just about cost, it is about perceived value. Third, and most importantly, it validates the cash flow. If someone is willing to pay a $9.90 deposit on the spot to reserve fruit for tomorrow, that proves 2 things. Not only is the business model viable, but it can also generate upfront payments. This is huge for cash flow, especially for new businesses that often struggle with liquidity. It shows a genuine commitment from customers, not just fleeting interest. It is a powerful indicator that the concept has legs. He emphasized that this $100 test makes the results crystal clear. There is no ambiguity, no guesswork. If the feedback on all 3 points is negative, he would never touch that project again, because if you cannot even justify spending $100, if the market rejects it at that minimal level, investing hundreds of thousands would be pure financial suicide. It is a harsh truth, but an essential one for survival in the business world. This simple test acts as a powerful filter, protecting against potentially catastrophic losses. When I heard all of this, a chill really ran down my spine. It was such a powerful yet simple way to think about things. It made me realize how much money I had thrown away because I did not understand this basic principle. This mindset, I realized, is even more devastatingly effective in the current age of short videos and the internet. The digital world offers even more avenues for these low-cost validations. Think about it. So many people want to get into e-commerce on platforms like TikTok. They immediately rent an office space, buy expensive equipment, hire a team, and stockpile a massive amount of inventory at home. They burn through tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes much more, only to find their videos are still getting 500 views. It is just throwing money away, hoping something sticks, without any real strategic testing. But what if you applied the $100 validation method to online ventures? Again, using just $100. Take $75 and buy 2 potential hot-selling sample products from a wholesale market or an online. Choose items you genuinely believe have potential. Then, use the remaining $25 to promote your video using a platform's built-in advertising tool. Target people who are likely to be interested in that type of product using the platform's demographic targeting. You would look for 2 key things. First, does the video get over 1,000 organic views? If it doesn't, that suggests your topic and visuals are decent enough to attract initial interest. It means your content is resonating with a segment of the audience. Second, does that $25 in advertising generate any engagement? Do you get a few likes, some inquiries, or even a single sale? If it does, that is a strong indicator that there is genuine commercial value in this niche. Then, and only then, would you consider investing more heavily, scaling up your efforts. If it does not, if you cannot even get that small amount of engagement, then do not even bother stocking up on more inventory. Just pivot to a different product or niche immediately. This $100 in essence buys you a clear answer to whether your business has a chance to survive or thrive. It is a minimal investment for maximum insight, a strategic advantage that many overlook. The gentleman ended with a remark that left me silent for a full 5 minutes during that dinner. It was a moment of profound reflection for me. He said, "Many people view doing business as a way to fulfill a dream, to satisfy their ego, so they want it to be big, to look impressive, to have status, to show off their ambition," he continued. But true masters of business treat it like solving a math problem. They will never write the final answer on the answer sheet with a pen until they have worked it out correctly on a scratch pad, exploring all the possibilities and verifying each step. He concluded, "This $100, that is my scratch pad." You might think that wealthy people get rich because they are fearless and take huge risks, that their success is due to some innate daring. But the truth is often the complete opposite. It is precisely because they are extremely averse to risk. They would rather spend $100 to test an idea 1,000 times than gamble $100,000 on an uncertain future. They understand the value of minimizing potential, not just hopeful assumptions. They are not afraid to be wrong for a small amount, but they are terrified of being wrong for a large amount. So if you are sitting there right now with a business idea swirling in your head, dreaming of what could be, do not rush to withdraw your savings and invest everything. Before you commit substantial resources, take a moment to think, can you find the lowest cost way to create a sample pack for your idea? Can you use $100? Or even a clever method that costs nothing at all to genuinely connect with your potential customers? Can you listen to what they have to say, truly hear their feedback, and understand their needs and desires? Remember, if you can learn a lesson for $100, if you can gain critical insights for a minimal sum, there is absolutely no need to spend half a lifetime and all your hard-earned savings. Learning the hard way, it is about smart, calculated moves, not reckless gambles. It is a lesson I wish I had learned much earlier in my own journey. A lesson that would have saved me a lot of tears and a lot of money. It is a philosophy that can fundamentally change how you approach any new venture, giving you a much better chance at success, while protecting your precious resources.